Hi everybody, I'm Ryan, and that's Mr. Pop Pop, and we're going to do a matchup analysis between Red Black Scam and Tron in Modern. The reason I wanted to talk about this matchup is these are some of the more popular decks in Modern as we speak, and no matter what side of the coin that you fall on when playing these decks, it's important to understand the matchup from both sides. So first off, let's overall understand what the decks are trying to do. I'm not going to do a full deck tech. I have those on my channel already. But let's start with Red Black Scam, also known as Red Black Evoke. What this deck is attempting to do is kind of cheat you out of the game almost. Its best hands being Grief into Not Dead After All or an effect like that, to double Thoughtseize to having a 4-3 Menace, Fury with the same play pattern but we have a 4-4 Double Striker, or turn 1 Ragavan which can lead to a turn 2 Blood Moon, or Dauthi Voidwalker into Thoughtseize or Grief to be able to take a Tron piece or take a good thing out of your opponent's hand and cast it. Tron, on the other hand, is attempting to assemble Urza's Tower, Urza's Mine, and Urza's Power Plant in order to make 7 mana and thus much more mana and cast huge colorless spells that can end the game totally on their own. Key cards for Scam in this matchup are really any play pattern that makes the clock super fast. For example, against most decks, the Fury Scam is only medium, but against Tron, they don't have a lot of ways to deal with the Fury Scam, so a 4-4 Double Striker on turn 1 is excellent and can close out the game very, very quickly. And if you watch the last Modern Pro Tour Finals, you know Dauthi Voidwalker is ridiculous. If you have Dauthi Voidwalker on the battlefield and then do a Thoughtseize or Grief effect, you can take one of Tron's payoffs and then cast it for free. So all of the work Tron is doing to be able to cast these cards, you can just do for free. That being said, Thoughtseize and Grief effects are also excellent, being able to either take payoffs or ways to grab one of the lands. And Blood Moon is also very good because it can stop your opponent from having green sources and also stop Urza's Tower, Urza's Mine, Urza's Power Plant from producing 7 mana when they're all on the battlefield, which gives you a lot more time to be able to try to kill your opponent before they cast their big payoff. On the other hand, Tron's primary concern is trying to get that mana and then cast a payoff, specifically a payoff that can answer what their opponent is doing. So if they're attacking with that 4-3 Menace and Grief, or they're attacking with the 4-4 Double Striker and Fury, or attacking with Ragavan, they need to be able to cast cards that will answer what is happening. So things like Wormcoil Engine to be able to block an attack, something like Fury, Karn Liberated to be able to exile something, Ulamog if you can get to that mana to be able to get rid of something, Walking Ballista in order to just ping things down, or Karn the Great Creator to grab Phyrexian Metamorph to be able to copy Fury and kill it. Or a Cityscape level to do the same things. The primary thing for Tron, get that mana and answer the scam as fast as possible. Which is a big reason my favorite version of Tron actually is playing some Dismembers in the main deck. And you can slow down your opponent's clock by playing the One Ring. And of course, dig into more answers to their scam. Some common play patterns for scam in this matchup, of course, is the Fury or Grief scam. We get that. But turn 1 Ragavan, hit your opponent, use the treasure to cast a turn 2 Blood Moon is excellent. Now, you don't yet have a fast enough clock to be able to actually close the game out, don't get me wrong, but it will slow them down pretty dramatically. The other thing I wanted to point out in this matchup is this: you have a Dauthi Voidwalker in your opener, and you have a Thoughtseize or Grief effect. It's probably reasonable to not play Thoughtseize or Grief on turn 1. Turn 2, cast Dauthi Voidwalker, and maybe Grief that turn if you would like. But on turn 3, cast your Thoughtseize or Grief effect, take a payoff, and then pop Dauthi Voidwalker to be able to grab that really, really good card. This one, Jake Beardsley at Pro Tour Finals. The play's pretty good. The only play pattern thing or things to be aware of from the Karn side is that Chromatic Star doesn't actually draw a card when your opponent has a Dauthi Voidwalker, which is why some of the more modern versions of the deck are down on Chromatic Star. I think the version I've been playing with is only playing 2. Also, turn 1 Relic of Progenitus can be pretty good at interrupting the scam. However, if they fetch land into attempting to scam you, just exiling something from their graveyard doesn't actually stop the Undying, which is also a relevant play pattern from the scam side. If your opponent turn 1 relics, then you can actually stop them from stopping you by making sure you play your fetch land instead of like a different land. Remember, casting the One Ring can stop Thoughtseize and Grief effects, and so if you stop their initial scam, either with Dismember or Relic or whatever, and you know you're going to be able to play your one payoff in your hand the following turn, cast the One Ring this turn, even if Karn the Great Creator or O-Stone feels a little bit better, because that means that card cannot be torn from your hand, and you can definitely cast it the following turn. And generally, how this matchup plays out is pretty simple and straightforward. Tron is doing everything they can in order to get that mana and play one of the payoffs, and Scam is trying to stop them and kill them as fast as possible. Stopping them generally with Thoughtseize and Grief, either stopping them from getting that mana or grabbing a payoff. And then if Scam isn't able to kill in time and isn't able to tear apart their hand enough, then Tron slams a card and they just win. Now, that being said, sometimes the Grief thing isn't that good, because via the nature of Tron, a lot of the cards in the deck kind of do the same thing, so they top deck really, really well. which is why the clock from the scam side is so important. Do you have any more nuances or anything cool that have to do with this matchup? Please let me know in the comments. I just wanted to do a brief overview of how this matchup plays out and key cards and all of that stuff. If you like videos like this, please let me know and like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.